What's up guys, Spaz here, welcome to my channel and welcome to my Infamy leveling guide. Don't turn that video off just yet if you're a console player or a PC player that has no interest in the Infamy in-game system. This guide is still applicable to people that are just concerned about leveling fast, getting offshore money fast, or even getting spending money in a short amount of time. It's going to be a 4-video series. This first video I'm going to touch on just a few things about Infamy, things to pay attention to when you go about leveling. And then I'm going to talk about 4 missions, 3 of which are very similar in terms of XP. The 4th one's kind of unique in a sense. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each of these missions, what to expect. And then in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th video, I'm going to be recruiting crews through the Steam group chat. And I'm going to come up with 4 level 75 builds, and we're going to go through each of these missions, these multi-day missions, with builds that complement each other. I'm going to show you just how fast and how efficient you can do these missions with correct builds and a team working together. I more or less want to do those videos because too many people are farming rats over and over and over again when there are a couple other missions that are just as viable and fast to gain XP and offshore money. But in this video, let's go ahead and talk about Infamy. First thing you're going to notice, and I've touched on this in other videos, it's not all about XP when you decide to go Infamous, right? I mean, I guess it could just be about XP as long as you have a ton of offshore money, you've never purchased contracts, you didn't gamble any away. Each level of Infamy is $200 million offshore. If you have well over that, don't worry about the cash portion, just go ahead and farm yourself some XP. But if you're like me, you've purchased a ton of contracts, you have to keep in mind that you're not going to be just focusing on XP only. You need to focus on cash as well. These next 3 missions I'm going to talk about are pretty much identical in terms of XP rewards. So that's why I want to bring them up. They're very similar, and they're the 3 most popular missions that people choose to do in terms of farming. So the first one is rats. The contract itself, we're talking about pro overkill. That's what you should be buying these contracts at. The difficulty is pro overkill. You're going to be making about $3 million offshore if you get all the money on day 3. If you get all the bags of money, you're going to make about $3 million, $2.5 to $3 million, depending on how many bags. The contract itself is about $3 million. So if you're purchasing this contract, you're going to break even. I would highly advise against purchasing any contracts if you are going to be struggling for offshore as well as XP. Join in our Steam group chat. There's a ton of people here that are working together to get this whole thing done. Some people have a ton of offshore money. If not, people can rotate who's purchasing contracts. That way we're all not blowing our money on random pubbies or trying to find random lobbies to join. Have to worry about hackers screwing with our account or making our experience that much worse. The pros for rats, it's low risk. In comparison to some of the other multi-day heists, it's low risk. It's very rare that you will fail a speed run of rats. Occasionally you might fail day 1 if Bane takes forever to tell you which element to add to the meth mix, or sometimes on day 3 you might get overrun if you're moving all the bags. Another pro is it's fast. It's one of the faster missions to farm in terms of XP. Another pro about this mission, it's not crew dependent. What I mean by that is you don't have to worry about your other members in the lobby having correct builds. You know, are they going to be able to handle this if we go loud? No, it's a relatively straightforward, easy mission. All you need is 1 person with C4. The cons about rats, it's boring. It gets old very fast. It becomes a big grind when all you do is rats over and over again. The overpass escape becomes extremely annoying and mind-numbingly boring. But yeah, I mean, rats is everybody's go-to. Second mission I want to talk about is Firestarter. In terms of money, this is where Firestarter is kind of one of the better missions for farming offshore cash. The contract itself is about $3 million, but you have the opportunity to make anywhere from $4.5 to $7 million each contract. You could purchase this contract and still farm a little bit of offshore, but I would highly advise against it because one of the cons of this mission is it's pretty high risk. It's kind of shocking and disturbing when you realize how often you'll fail this mission on your road to leveling in Infamy. If you purchase the contract for $3 million and you fail it, guess what? You're going to have a success in at least 2 contracts in order to offset those costs. Pros about Firestarter, obviously, like I said, the money. Another pro is I find it more enjoyable. I find it more enjoyable than Rats. It's a good mix of different days. Day 1, you just rush in, get out. Day 2, you can stealth it if you wanted to, but more than likely you're going to be ECM rushing it, but it does give you that added stealth feel, something different than just constantly doing Rats over and over. And then, of course, Day 3, you can either stealth it, ECM rush it, or go loud. Other things about Rats, another con about it is I think it's a little bit crew dependent. You need to make sure that you are in a good lobby because, like I said, it is a pretty high-risk mission. You might fail it if you're in the wrong lobby. You join on a random, or randoms join on you, and they aren't even spec'd to go loud on Day 3. The next mission we need to talk about is Framing Frame. In terms of money for Framing Frame, you're going to be netting about $3 million offshore if you don't purchase this contract. The contract itself is about $3 million, so you're going to kind of come up as a wash. I believe that's how much the contract is on Framing Frame. I'm almost certain. But, I mean, you're not going to be necessarily doing this just for the cash. The pros for Framing Frame, it's a change of pace. It's completely different than Rats or Firestarter. It has that stealthing feel to it. And to me, it's a very simple mission as long as everybody's working together. You know, you're just going to be dom and converting people if you're ECM rushing. Some cons about Framing Frame, though. You need to make sure you're with a good crew. You need to make sure your crew understands the whole concept of ECM rushing. A lot of people don't know how to ECM rush Framing Frame, or they don't know how to do it well. Other cons about Framing Frame, Day 3. Day 3 can be a pain in the butt, finding all those pieces of intel to locate the vault or hack the computer. Sometimes, even though you can use the security cameras to mark them yellow, occasionally that doesn't work, and you waste 10 minutes trying to find a stupid laptop that everybody in your lobby's passed over 5 times. The last mission we need to be talking about is Train Heist. Oddly enough, a lot of people farm Train Heist. Essentially what you do is you load up one of the transport missions, you find the train intel, you get to the Train Heist, you spawn in with suits, everybody throws nades, kills themselves, you die, guess what, you have to restart the mission, but every time you failed, guess what, you made 45,000 XP. The pros about Train, it's very fast as soon as you get the intel for the Train Heist. You can level really fast. I mean, each time you do this is maybe 60 seconds if everybody's connecting off of you in a similar area. You're not waiting on people to join in on the lobby. It's very fast. The cons about it, you're not going to be making a ton of offshore money. It gets very cheesy to do that. I've done it about 5-6 times once, and I was like, man, this is just too cheesy for me. Other cons, obviously finding the intel for the Train Heist can be a pain in the butt. The transport missions aren't the easiest, especially if you have a lower level lobby or a lobby of players that aren't aggressive enough to handle the transport. But a lot of people are going this route in terms of XP. But that's it for this video, guys. I just wanted to give you a heads up on 4 of the missions people are using and 4 of the more effective missions to farm XP and cash. I will have other videos coming out here soon showing you how to do these missions, touching back on some of the old videos where I demonstrated how to ECM rush Framing Frame or the best ways to do Firestarter. I'm going to rehash those, but I'm going to do it in a really cool manner by recruiting a crew and coming up with different builds, showing you guys the different builds, explaining what role each person in the crew is going to be playing, and we're just going to go over these missions again so that it's easier on all of us when we go through this whole Infamy in-game system. That's it for this one, guys. Stay tuned for episode 2 in this series. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Tried to make it as quick as possible. I apologize if I rambled or if I missed anything. I'll try to add it in the next one, but that's it for this one. We will catch you guys later. Okay?